All right, let's talk about a real musical phenomenon. For more than 40 years, there's been an English rock band called New Model Army. They've toured the world, they've recorded countless albums, and they've survived. They have this massive, dedicated global following, and yet, there's a good chance you've never even heard of them. And believe it or not, that's pretty much by design.
The band's founder, Justin Sullivan, he gets asked all the time why they never hit the big time, why they never became stadium-filling rock stars. And his answer is always the same, and it's so simple. We never really wanted it. So you see, this isn't some story about failure. This is a story about a very deliberate choice.
And that really brings us to the core question here, the big puzzle. If you actively decide to turn your back on the typical path to success, how on earth do you not just survive, but actually thrive for more than 40 years? What is their secret?
Okay, so to start figuring this out, we first have to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of their career and just how committed they've been to staying well underground.
I mean, just think about that for a second. 40 plus years. They formed way back in 1980, and they've been going strong ever since. That's a longer lifespan than so many bands that maybe burned a whole lot brighter in the spotlight, but also burned out so much faster.
And this quote just perfectly captures the paradox, doesn't it? For a lot of people, if they know the name New Model Army at all, they think of them as an 80s band, a relic of the past. The general feeling is that they just disappeared. But the truth is, they never went anywhere. They've just been busy building this whole parallel universe right under the nose of the mainstream music world.
So this brings us to the first key to their survival, and it's a big one. A fierce, unwavering independence. From day one, they decided to build their own house on their own land, far, far away from the corporate music industry. Think about it like this. On one side, you have the typical music industry machine. It's run by suits, by venture capitalists, by scouts always looking for the next trend to package and sell. But New Model Army, they took a totally different road. They control how their music is made and sold, and maybe most importantly, they own their voice. A voice that has always been critical, sharp, and entirely their own. And they have never ever been afraid to use that voice. Right from the start, their music has basically been a running commentary on what's happening in the world. They've written songs about the Falklands War, the miners' strike, environmental protests, the Iraq War. I mean, you pick a major event in modern British history, and chances are they've got a powerful song about it. And don't for a second think this is all just ancient history. That critical eye of theirs is still focused squarely on the here and now. Just take their recent song, I Did Nothing Wrong. Now, on the surface, it was written about that absolutely shocking post office scandal in the UK, where hundreds of innocent people were prosecuted because of faulty software. But as Justin Sullivan explains, it's also about something much bigger. It's about the way systems, whether they're governments or giant corporations, just treat ordinary people. They're still fighting that same fight. So that independence is absolutely crucial, but honestly, it's only half the story. The second piece of the puzzle, and you could argue it's the most important piece, is the incredible, loyal community they've built all around them. Okay, look at this symbol. It's a Celtic knot from their iconic 1989 album, Thunder and Consolation. And to really get New Model Army, you have to understand this knot. Because here's the thing. It's not really the band's logo. It's a symbol of allegiance for the fans, a sign that represents their connection to each other. They call themselves the Family. And listen, this is not just some cutesy nickname for a fan base. It is a deeply felt, almost tribal identity. It's a community that's been built on the shared values that they hear in the music itself. Things like inclusivity, looking out for one another, and this fierce loyalty to something real and authentic. And just like any real family, it's complicated. There's this shared history, a real sense of identity. But there are also arguments and debates within the community. People discussing if a fan who's been there for 30 years is more authentic than a newcomer. It's a living, breathing social organism that has connected people across entire generations. So you've got this fiercely independent band on one side and this incredibly dedicated family on the other. So where does the magic really happen? Where does it all come together? It happens in the sweat and energy of the live show. See, for New Model Army, a gig is not a one-way street. It's not them performing at an audience. As Justin says, it's meant to be an exchange, a communication. He says they watch the audience just as much as the audience watches them. It really is a two-way conversation. And when it really clicks, that experience becomes something profound. Sullivan talks about these moments at a gig where you just kind of lose yourself, where the line between the band and the audience completely dissolves, and everyone becomes part of this greater whole. He literally calls it touching God. It's less of a rock show and more like a communion.
So let's pull all these threads together now. You've got the fierce independence, this global family, the almost spiritual live shows, and it all points to a completely different idea of what success even means.
The goal for them was never about selling out stadiums. It was never about chart positions. The goal was to endure, to build something that could last, something with real meaning that didn't depend on the whims of popular culture. And this quote just sums it all up perfectly. By turning their back on what we normally think of as fame, they actually got something far more rare and way more valuable. They got total artistic freedom to say what they wanted to say, and by doing that, they built this incredibly loyal, worldwide community that has carried them for over 40 years. That, right there, is their success. So it kind of leaves you with one last question to chew on. In a world that is obsessed with scale, where bigger is always better, where we measure success in billions of streams and sold-out arenas, maybe the story of New Model Army makes us ask something different. What is the true measure of a successful artistic life? Perhaps it's not about how big you get, but about how long you can mean something to someone.